Welcome back to the Empowered Mind podcast. I'm your host, Nathalie Bedrossian, high performance coach and aspiring speaker. So, on this episode, I'm very excited to introduce the special guest to you guys. The special guest today is actually Andres Flores. I've known him for almost a year now.
Close, yeah.
Almost a year now. So he's actually also an entrepreneur. We're also business partners very recently. And today we're going to talk to you guys about the power of community. Welcome, Andres. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
So start by telling us a little bit about you, a little bit about what you do, and how you got to where you are today.
Okay. Well, my name is Andres, as you mentioned. I'm 29 years old, and I've been a freelance web developer for the past 8 years.
Okay.
And so, yeah, right out of Cégep college, straight into university for a year, and then started my freelancing journey. So I've had a lot of different clients, direct clients that work with me. I've worked for agencies. I worked for individuals as well, other entrepreneurs, and just recently started to branch out and try to build a business.
Nice.
So not me being the business, but having a business where I work and try to develop and build something more concretely.
Okay. Tell us a bit more about this business.
Okay, so basically how I've been doing things is I've been trading time for money for my services,
Yeah.
right? So working, it's like a regular 9 to 5, but with the illusion that I get to control my schedule and how I structure my time in my day. But essentially is a glorified 9 to 5
Okay.
because that's the same idea as trading time for money. And so now what I'm trying to do differently is trying to find a way to do the same thing, offer the same services where I don't have to spend as much time doing the actual work.
Nice.
Because I've noticed that over the years, my experience is really the big picture stuff, like trying to find solutions and trying to find the path of least resistance in the sense of either trying to save cost, trying to save time, or just trying to find the best solution that's available. And it's quite a daunting task when you don't know the industry, especially for the web, because it changes every year. So it's hard to keep up in this business, especially in tech.
Yeah.
And so what I'm doing right now is for marketing agencies that already have their own business, their own clients, and their own structure, but they really don't have they don't just have the time to be informed and get to know what's new, what are the new solutions, what's available to them. Because quite frankly, the agency that I work with right now, they're just stuck doing the work.
Yeah.
They have, I think, more than 300 clients, not concurrent, but thank God. But, they still have a lot of work that they need to go through, and there's just not enough time for them to, do some research and try to find better ways to manage their business.
Okay, so you go in basically and you take that task off of their shoulders.
Exactly. Everything that's web development, like websites, web apps, or even the management side of it, I take care of that.
Okay.
So that's one less headache that they have to think about. All they have to do is just give me the work, give me the clients, and I just...
That's great. And you yourself, after, let's say, 8 years of experience, you decided to focus more on the big picture, on the
Right.
management side of it. So now you're delegating a lot of it, right?
Yeah. Yeah, my work is now more solution-based, trying to fix
Okay.
problems instead of just coding.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay, so web development. And let's talk about community. So we're business partners. We actually started our own community called Pitch Practice. We focus a lot on the development of a skill set in sales, right? Because entrepreneurs, young professionals everywhere actually really need to develop this as a skill. And a lot of people struggle with it a lot more than we think. So this community really focuses on all of us learning together, bringing in these people together. And there's a big part, there's a networking aspect to it too. So we network, we learn about sales, and we practice together too. So how has pitch practice been so far?
It's been actually very great. I'm not surprised that this worked, but I'm more surprised about how impactful we've been.
Yeah.
As much as it's been impactful for us and Charles as well, that's right here, but also to the people that were helping that we didn't know before pitch practice.
And why do you think that is? Why do you think it had such a big impact?
Because I don't think it's such a common thing where people, where anybody just takes the time to organize these types of events. like building a community is a long-term game,
Absolutely.
and we're in it for the long haul. But I think it's just a project that not many people think about, or don't think about organizing themselves.
Yes.
Because it's easy just to go on some event website and just look up, oh, what's going on in Montreal today.
Exactly.
But to actually host something, organize it, trying to reach out to people and stuff like that.
Yes.
And especially for us, since we're entrepreneurs and we're trying to build these skills as we go along, what better way than to do it, but with other people who are in the same boat?
Exactly. And I feel like a really strong point, or one of the biggest things that stops people from creating communities like this is that, like you said, it's a long-term game.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of patience. It takes a lot of resilience. And the fact that we're partners, so it's not, we're three actually working on this project, it also alleviates a lot of the workload.
Absolutely.
It divides it into three. But it definitely does take a lot of time to build relationships with people, because that's the whole goal of a community, right? It's not just a service you're providing.
No, it's not an exchange.
Exactly. It's not transactional. You're
Right.
really building long-term relationships with these people, and you really want them to be there on the long game, right? On the long term. And in terms of benefits, let's say not just pitch practice itself, but we're also a part of the Road to the Million, so
Right.
which is a community, let's say, of entrepreneurs, and we've also been part of a community. So not only we've created ours, but we're also part of one. And it's basically a community for entrepreneurs who want to build their business, grow, and be surrounded by other like-minded people. So talk about your experience a bit with RTTM, which is where we met, actually.
Yeah, I think I joined in late January, early February.
Yes.
This year, and it was very strange at first. And I
Okay.
just had this realization, I think yesterday, that my perception of the other members and just what this whole community brings to me has changed a lot.
Okay.
I think at the beginning I saw everybody as like a step ahead of me, because it's not an environment that I'm used to. My friends typically are not entrepreneurs, are not really focused on self-development or have any big projects. They stick to their 9 to 5. They're comfortable in their lives.
Yes.
But I've never been like that.
Yeah.
Once I get comfortable, I try to find a way to get uncomfortable, because I don't know. I maybe I like the dopamine.
Yeah.
But I think once I joined RTTM, I noticed this shift in my environment and all the people that I've started to grow with you, with Charles, and everybody else. And as time passed, I noticed that we're not really far along in between experience or how we are as people. It's just that my perception of what an environment or what a community is was just not the right fit for me.
Yeah.
And so now that I know how you work, I know how Charles works and everybody else, I can say that, hey, we're all in this together, and
Exactly.
now we're good at certain things, we suck at certain things,
Absolutely.
and it's okay.
Yeah, definitely.
We're there for it.
Definitely. And, you really mentioned a good point, because one of the strong suits, let's say, of a community is basically the collaborations also that come out of it. And recognizing that you can work with someone that has, let's say, your complementary strengths. You don't need to be good at everything.
Absolutely.
You can focus on what you're good at, and then provide that to the group, to the community, to your partners. And then your partners can take over, right?
Exactly.
And let's say manage other parts of the business itself. So that's definitely something that's valuable. Creating communities help create these kind of partnerships, these kind of networking that help you find people that complement you on certain skill sets that you don't have.
Exactly. And in the end, business is relationships.
Yeah, definitely.
And as much as I like to reflect on, pitch practice wouldn't have worked if I were alone in this.
Yes.
And I think that the fact that having you on as a business partner, as well as Charles, really pushed this thing to the maximum potential that it has.
Yes,
right
and
now.
the speed of execution.
We are
too.
extremely fast.
Very, very fast. It just took off in not even weeks, less than a month.
I think in less than
actually
2
started
weeks,
running.
we already
Yeah.
had the idea. Well, actually, we came with the idea. 2 weeks later, we executed and we had our first meeting.
Yes, definitely.
So I've never done anything that fast.
Yeah, absolutely. But also started with a hiking community myself. So that's
Right.
something also that RTTM really helped me push me to do that. And that's also one of the benefits, right, of being well surrounded to create. And it took me, I'd say, around 5 months
Okay.
to get it started, to start the first like monthly subscription or kind of regular kind of hiking. It took me 5 months to get that,
Okay.
to get to that spot. So there's also like a learning aspect to it. Once I learned how to do it the first time, pitch practice was a bit easier because I was like, okay, I could just copy paste what worked.
Yeah.
So there's also that learning aspect to it of you learn what you do with your first one and then just execute it and copy paste it to your next.
Yeah.
That's something else also that's valuable. There's also this learning curve, and you're the fact that when you learn from something, you can just execute it over and over again and keep making it quicker, basically.
Agreed. It's always the first time is always the hardest one.
Yeah.
After that, it's easy.
Yeah,
It's cake.
absolutely. Absolutely. So other than what we've, mentioned, or we can also develop on these points a bit more, what do you think are the benefits of being surrounded by like-minded people? Or being in a community itself?
There are a lot. I mean, just take in consideration your friend group, right?
Yes.
You are the sum or the average of the 5 people that you hang out with the most.
Yes.
So if that turns out to be people who like to party, like to drink, odds are you are going to fit into that boat as well.
Definitely.
But if you surround yourself with people who like to build businesses, who like to improve, self-improvement and all that stuff, that's who you're going to be.
Yeah.
And, even people who say they're independent, I'm guilty of that as well, who say they're independent, that they are not influenced by anybody. Yeah, we are.
To some degree.
To some degree, exactly. And, especially for me, I didn't really feel like I was I didn't think I was fulfilling my potential being surrounded with the people that I was surrounded with. And now that I'm with you guys in the RTTM community, I'm getting there.
Yeah.
I'm getting to the version of myself that I wanted to be.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you can like relate to this, but to me, how I can picture it, it's like as if I'm in my own bubble, in my own community, where nothing external can get to me. In the sense that I used to be before joining RTTM, so I joined a year earlier than you.
Yeah.
I was kind of always aware of like what people thought of me. If I posted a video, oh my God, what would they think, or what would they say? But now that I have you guys, that I have this community, I feel so protected because I don't even think about these external thoughts anymore. Like when I post my videos, I know that I have you guys that are supporting me in that sense, right? So in a sense, you become so. It's so weird to explain, but you become so like focused, your vision becomes, and even you're just living in this bubble. You become so focused in your environment that nothing external can get to you. Is it just me or?
No, that makes sense. And I think I think it's quite recent that I've just started to feel like that.
Okay.
Because, I think my first challenge in the RTTM community was to post 3 stories. And I
Yes.
was terrified.
Oh,
I wanted to quit.
I was too.
I just wanted to quit. I know what did I just sign up for? And I did the stories, and strangely, I had a lot of support from the community as well as from friends and family. So, and it's interesting that you mentioned that. But don't you think that if you started to do things and our opinion weighs more and it becomes an external opinion, wouldn't that influence how you perceive things?
So what do you mean? Like how much your opinion, since you guys are in the community, how much your opinion would weigh in my future decisions?
Right.
Since now, well, I've always been careful about whose opinion I listen to, whose opinion I don't. Now, of course, you and Charles, we're kind of business partners at this point. Your opinion, I do value it a lot. And I do take it more seriously than someone that's more external.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Because I know that you guys are a bit, I don't want to use this way, but we're kind of on the same wavelength, right? We think a bit similarly. We have similar ambitions, similar goals. So for sure, if we're on the same wavelength, if we're on the same path, then I value your opinion a lot because you guys are a bit like me, But someone who's not in the game at all or not at all doing what we're doing, then sorry to say, but your opinion probably doesn't matter that much. You know? Ouch. But I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah, true. And, that's something that I'm struggling with right now because ever since, I'm in the same boat where I value your opinion a lot and I value Charles's opinion a lot. But, people from, I don't want to say my past life because who am I? But, my friend group who are not entrepreneurs, the people whose opinions mattered don't matter much to me anymore. And it feels strange because I'm kind of thinking, oh, does that mean I don't care about them anymore? Or I don't assign as much importance to them as you guys? And it's tricky to think about it because if I think that way, I'll just recycle friends throughout my life.
That's true, right? Because you're always going to be improving. Like, what do?
Exactly.
You just let go of your friends.
Exactly.
You make new friends.
Yeah,
and
I'm here, you're here.
Yeah,
bye.
so bye.
Yeah.
No, well, I mean, again, it depends. I have friends that are, I don't want to say that I use, but friends that like for a certain purpose, right? Like I have friends that I just like to spend time with just to talk, right? But then when it comes to work, business, I'd probably spend more time with you guys to speak on that, It's like, again, some friends, it's just really to talk, to catch up on things. And but I've done a pretty good cleanup, I'd say, in the past years.
Cleanup, oh my God.
That's harsh. Why am I so harsh today? But I've done a pretty good cleanup.
She says there with the mob. Yeah.
Yeah, just
Time to go.
mopping. In the past years of, let's say, friends, or let's say more careful with my time and who I spend time with. So it depends, because some people can be very draining, and you want to be protective of your time too, just because what we do takes a lot of energy. It's a lot to take on. So you kind of have to be careful and manage that better.
Definitely. And once again, you are the average of the people who you're surrounded with.
Yeah.
So if you have people that are like they are not aligned with your goals, it's going to hinder you a lot.
Definitely. And it's not about like letting them go completely. You could probably just spend less time with them.
Right.
Right.
And as with anything, relationships just change. They evolve.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So if we bring it back to like how being part of a community has helped us, another thing I'd add to it is actually the networking aspect. Because yes, you're surrounded by people who are aligned with your same goals, kind of have the same mindset, who push you forward, who kind of motivate you to move forward in life. You never know what kind of partnerships could arise from it. We're kind of alluding to it earlier, but we all have different strengths, different skill sets. And sometimes you just have an idea and okay, like Andres is good in tech, right? He could just create things in seconds. It's so efficient, so efficient. You can create things in seconds, right? Yeah. And it's just building up. And just by us speaking together, since we're already on the same wavelength, our ideas are like so exponentially successful. Yeah. Right? And they can move forward so quickly. So that's also another benefit, like the partnerships that come out of it.
I think it's more like a shortcut to knowledge that you wouldn't have otherwise. Yeah. Because let's say you come up with the idea of, maybe you need a web app for your Empowered Minds hiking. I think you have no idea how that works, how to make an app.
Zero.
Exactly.
Zero. Not at all. So thank God you were there.
I think I remember the meeting. I think you asked Fatty, questions about that. And I just happened to be nosy and over here.
Nosy.
I'm very curious. And so, I was hearing the discussion. I was just like, oh, that sounds like such a headache. Yeah. Because the way that you were trying to solve this problem. And I was just like, I could code that in 2 seconds maybe.
Exactly.
And, it's just that an idea can come up in your head. And if you have an expert available in your vicinity, you can just, in 5 minutes, they can tell you if it's viable or not. Yeah. And give you detailed steps that ChatGPT wouldn't give you.
Exactly. And do business with each other, right? And build these relationships too. So it's pretty useful. Another thing I'd add also is the support part of it, because we've seen our ups and downs. Yeah. sometimes business has been good, but sometimes no. And just having that kind of support of people who know how hard it is to go through this
Yeah.
and who also support you. Like, I can't imagine if I've been through this alone, you know, because sometimes, you know, with the ups and downs, when it's down, you question so much,
Yeah.
right? So sometimes hearing someone else tell you that you're on the right path, it's okay, it's part of it. Like, you just need kind of that external reassurance, let's
Yeah.
say. And it really helps you, you know, give you a boost and keep you going in these hard moments.
Yeah, I agree. And, you know, I've had these moments in my 8-year career, and it's very hard to bounce back from when you have nobody
Exactly.
who's going through the same thing as you. And, you know, you can watch all the YouTube videos that you want, but people aren't, whatever video you watch, it's not going to relate exactly, or it's not going to understand exactly what you're going through.
Yeah.
And, you know, since we're a part of the RTTM community where we update each other every week,
Exactly.
we have a pretty good idea of where we're at,
Yeah.
you know, individually. And so
Exactly.
it's it's very encouraging to hear you or Charles say that you're on the right path. It's going great.
Definitely.
You shouldn't give up now.
Yeah.
And, you know, just hearing it, even if you don't believe it at first, it's very beneficial. It helps a lot.
Absolutely. And, you know, a lot of it is, so we're all kind of a group of people who have maybe the same problems, maybe the same things that we're all going through that are maybe going towards a same goal or a same end goal or ambition or project or whatever.
Right.
So it really helps to know that, again, you have these people behind you that are pushing you towards there. And, you know, as humans, we do have a sense of belonging to our community. We're hardwired like this to belong to groups. We're really social beings because, you know, if you look at it from an evolutionary standpoint, we've always thrived in groups, right?
Yep.
Just because, let's say, to fight the enemy, we were better in groups,
Strength in
right?
numbers.
Exactly. There's a lot of strength in numbers. There's a lot of power in doing things in groups. So you end up developing this sense of belonging towards your community too, and that's just even amplifies your support system.
Yeah.
So that really, really helps out too.
And I think it's one of the things that helps us with pitch practice is that maybe a majority of the people that we've interacted with need some sort of feeling of belonging, especially because we help people with their sales skills, and a lot of people just need that help or assurance, or just to know that, oh, I'm not alone. I don't have to purchase this $1,000 course, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
And do it all by myself. I can actually interact with other people on the same boat.
Exactly, and grow together
Exactly,
too, right? So there's definitely this aspect, and I feel it's so strong, because, again, like, we're hardwired for this. We're hardwired to work in groups, and we often forget that because it's like, okay, I'm on this path and I'm just pursuing my goals, but there's so much power in surrounding yourself with the right people, with like-minded people who are just gonna, like, push you forward to do what it is that you want to do. Sorry, one thing I would add to that, because, like, ego gets in the way. Your ego gets in the way. Like, no, I can do this alone.
Yeah.
Probably it's just going to take you X amount of years longer, right? Putting aside your ego to receive help and support from others is so important. Like, you have to humble yourself down as well.
Yeah, it's hard.
You know, it's definitely hard, especially if you have, like, that ego, like, I'm good, I'm doing this, I'm going for it. It's really hard to set your ego aside, but man, if you really want to go far, it's something that you have to do. You have to be willing to learn from others.
Yeah, you have to set that aside. And, you know, I actually want to ask you this question. Personally, in school, especially in Cégep, this sense of community, I didn't have that. Because we rarely had to work in teams.
Yeah.
Or we rarely had the same objectives or end goals. And so I think for a long time, I didn't feel like I needed to belong somewhere because I had a very specific path that I thought I needed to follow.
Yeah.
And, you know, since it's hardwired into our genetics to belong to a community, to belong in a group, why do you think the system is structured around people who are individually high performers?
That's a really great question. That's a really, really great question because, and I think it's a huge flaw in our education system to really evaluate people individually, because even when you go in the workplace, it's not about your individuality. Everything is based on how your team performs.
Yep.
Everything is about teamwork, and education is about, okay, like your own personal grade or your own personal performance. That's not how real life is.
No.
Your real life is so interconnected to other people, and that's a big failure in our education system, in my opinion. So I don't know why it's structured this way, to be honest with you, but I do think it's a big flaw, and it should be worked on.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
It really should be worked on. Because again, there's power in the numbers, right? And there's power in communication, being good at communicating. Because what happens when you train people to be good individual performers? They grow up and they eventually go into companies to become me, myself, and I individual performers, right? It's not about the team. It's not about the project. It's not about the company. It's about them, right? And getting higher. So there's no knowledge, or let's say building that skill set into how do I communicate with others? How do I work in teams to work on this common project, right?
And if you actually develop those skills, for what? For who? Who are you doing this for?
Yeah. In the end, it's about maybe doing this for yourself, right? Okay, I want to get a promotion. I want to get a promotion. I want to get a promotion. But you forget that the teamwork is what's going to carry the project, right? It's not a one-person show. It's not a one-man show.
Unless you're Michael Jordan.
Unless you're Michael Jordan. Look, I'm not into sports. I can't tell you much. I don't watch sports.
Damn it.
So did he carry the team and play?
No, he was very good.
Okay.
But if he didn't have the team that he had, he wouldn't have won.
Okay, there you go. There you go. So the power of the team. Even if you're a very good top performer, your team is also super important. Awesome.
Because there were a lot of analogies with sports that I could have done.
Yes,
but
definitely.
It wouldn't bounce.
No, it would not bounce. I'm sorry. But maybe one, and this is the influence of my sister and my brother, actually.
Okay.
Lionel Messi, how he's a team player and how he creates opportunities for his team.
Right.
Even though he's a very top performer. I did not fact check this. I just listened to my sister and brother, who are very big fans. Okay. So that's it.
Okay, that's it. That's all you know about
That's
Messi.
all I know. Well, he's a very good player too.
Right.
But that's it.
Yeah. Well, actually, that's an interesting point, because he's a good team player because individually he's good.
Yes.
And so in sports, it's very common, if you're a good player, they're going to check you a lot more than the other players of your team. Yeah. And you can either go with your ego and say, oh, they're checking 2 or 3 guys to check me. I'll try to go through them. Or set it aside and let somebody else have a chance from your team.
Yeah,
and so that's definitely that you can either go one or two ways, the selfish way or the team way. And I feel like in the grand scheme of things, if you go the team way, it can unlock a lot of things for you.
Absolutely. And it really reminds me of this proverb, if you want to go fast, go alone. And if you want to go far, go together.
Yeah.
Right? And it's so accurate, especially when we talk about teams, about communities, about same people going towards a same or similar goal.
Yeah.
Super powerful, super powerful.
Definitely.
Now, you and I are introverts.
Yes.
How would you, let's say, advise other fellow introverts when it comes to joining communities, networking, being part of something like this, of something that's more group format?
Advise. I don't even know what I would.
How do you do it? Let's put it like that.
I don't even know. I don't even know. I guess I'm not. I think of introverts as the extreme introverts, where they don't want to talk to anybody. But I'm not that.
Yeah.
I think
there's a scale. There's definitely a
Right.
scale. We're different levels.
Right. But let's say I want to address or help the introverts on the other end of the extreme line of the scale. It's just a lot of pretending for me.
Pretending.
I vary. My level of introvertness varies.
Yes.
And when I'm really, 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 I don't want to talk to anybody, I pretend to be someone else.
Okay.
So anybody who's extroverted, anybody who can make friends easily, I don't know, anybody from a TV show that you watch or a movie or maybe someone you know, try to mirror them, try to mimic them, be them. And if your goal is to just get out there and try to get accustomed to it, it's fine. Just don't let it be your personality. Don't let it be a side of you that you only let out when you need to get out of your comfort zone. Eventually, you have to become your own person and do the things yourself.
Absolutely.
But it's definitely something that's helped me, especially when I get introduced into situations where I don't know anybody, because then I can have some fun. Nobody knows me, so I can be whatever I want to be.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
sometimes I try to pretend that I'm more extroverted than introverted, and so I try to be loud to see, okay, can people tolerate me?
How did that look? I kind of observe others and be like, if I'm too loud, how other people's reactions are towards that, and then you gauge a little bit.
Actually, that's the thing. I notice when you pretend to be an extrovert like that, you don't have the time to notice these things.
Okay.
And so I picture
Interesting.
these extroverts they don't care.
Yeah.
They're loud. They don't know it, but they seem happy.
Yeah.
So they just do their own thing.
Yeah, no, but the thing is, introverts, the thing is, the more they interact with people, the less energy they have. Like interacting with people takes energy away from them. Extroverts, on the other hand, and why you see them always, interacting with others and being maybe loud and all of that, it's because they gain energy from interacting with people.
Right.
So as an introvert, I really learned over time, because networking is super important. Being part of communities is super important. So I kind of had to force myself to become good and to expose myself to these kind of situations. And one way is really about like your energy management. So let's say before that, maybe do something that's a bit more relaxed, nothing that's taking a lot of energy to you. And even during meetings or events, you can take bathroom breaks. You can literally just take bathroom breaks, go in a like bathroom stall, look at yourself in the mirror, and then take a couple of breaths and just, okay, refill of energy, resource yourself, and then you can go back. So taking these little breaks can be super helpful.
Yeah.
Befriending an extrovert and then bringing them to these events or like to these
they can carry you a little
communities,
bit,
they can carry you a little bit. You're probably there on the side, okay, listening to them and all of that. But to me, what helped also is, I tend to be a bit anxious as well in social situations. So all this anxiety, this stress, I kind of tried or learned how to convert it into this energy where I'm like, okay, I'm talking, I'm speaking. I'm like, you see me getting a bit jittery or maybe speaking a bit louder.
Really?
So that's how I kind of learned to transfer this energy that's maybe a bit negative at first, this anxiety, into something a bit more positive. And that gets me to speak a little bit more. So that's another thing that I do as well.
Do you still do that? Do you still feel the need to do that?
Not really. I think it became automatic to me at this point.
Okay, you don't
It's
think
like,
about it.
Social situations, let's go, activate it.
So
But
it's a
it's a
switch.
lot like you said, it's a switch.
Okay.
And it's a lot like you said, it's also like acting a little bit. So it's not about putting a mask. I'd say, to me specifically, it's about maybe enhancing or a shift of energy completely.
Okay.
So that's a pretty interesting thing, that, again, when I think about my own experience, that I've used in the past years.
I think for me, sometimes it's also been like a performance.
Yeah.
Like, let's say I need to go someplace, like a networking event or whatever. And before I go through those doors, I just like showtime. So time to turn that switch on. This is who I'm going to be. This is what I'm going to do for the next 2 hours. So let's just power through this. And then at the end, I can go back into my shell, curl up in a ball, maybe eat. Actually, probably eat. And, just.
Yeah, definitely. And like talk to no one.
Yeah. Just
I know.
leave me alone.
I get home, I have my headphones on, I'm either like watching a series, listening to music, doing something super relaxed where I don't have to interact with anyone at all.
Yeah.
It kind of, these events tend to drain me or to take a lot of my energy. So that's also as well.
I'm curious.
Yes.
How did you live through COVID being an introvert?
Loved it.
A lot of people in my family, or even not even my friends, because they're also introverts, but they're like, "Oh my God, I can't believe I can't go out." And I'm like, "But nothing's changed for me." Oh, we had COVID? I didn't know.
Yeah, I mean, the parts that I missed, because the people I'm accustomed to, I feel, again, it's particular because the people I'm accustomed to, like my cousins, for example, or even my family, my friends. Like I really did miss them during COVID, like spending time with them, because there are people around who I don't get drained in terms of energy.
Okay.
So to me, it's really particular about new situations or about situations where, again, it's like networking with people I don't know, when I meet new people. And certain, again, people I know, certain people tend to drain me more than others, which is very particular. I don't know what it is about certain people, but
Yeah.
certain people drain me more than others. So it was during COVID, again, I love the, just staying in, cozy side.
Oh, I can't go to work.
Yeah, but I did miss spending time with people who are close to me.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. But I think the advantages of being a gamer is that you're always like connected in some way.
True.
So
True. That's true.
we had that going for us, but I'm actually want to go back to that point where sometimes, or your cousins, you don't feel like they drain you,
No, not at all.
and networking events do.
Yes.
Can you attribute the drain of energy to unknown interactions?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. It's because I didn't know what to expect. These people are new, so I kind of tend to analyze people a lot too. Like, what are they What are they expecting? What are these people all about?
That guy double dipped his.
Yeah, no, red flag. No double dipping. But yeah, so that also takes a lot of energy. So yeah, but then there's also people that I know very well that also drain a lot of my energy. So it's curious. It's very, very curious. I feel like it's particular, yes, to new situations, but also to some people that I know already.
Interesting.
And they drain me more than others. I don't know what it's about.
Yeah. Well, I have some people like that as well, and I can't quite put my finger on it.
Yeah.
But I think I understand what you mean.
Yeah, no, it's definitely an interesting phenomenon. So, we talked a little bit about how people around us can also have a negative influence on us. So we do have to be careful about who we're surrounded with and how basically our energy is around them. So how have you dealt with this in the past? Like with people, let's say, who haven't been the healthiest to be around, how have you dealt with this? Or what would you recommend, let's say, to other people?
I wouldn't say it's healthy, but I just flee.
Flee, okay, avoid them.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And do these relationships eventually deteriorate over time?
Yeah. But I just, in my head, I feel like if we were meant to go through life together, it would have worked out in some way. And that's tricky because going back to the first point where I mentioned that because of my mindset shift, going through the RTTM community, I know some friendships and some relationships have taken a hit because I spend less time with them. Like you said earlier, in different contexts, these people, I don't have to cut off these people from my life completely. And, I think for me, it's because I'm very much of a sponge. I absorb a lot of the energy of people around me and, the mannerisms. I say awesome because of you. And so, and a lot of things from my friends. And, once I notice that there's an aspect of me that's not true to me, but that I absorb from someone else, that's a sign that, okay, maybe that person, I shouldn't spend time with that person.
Yeah.
Or even like my reflexes, because my parents, we've had this discussion where our parents are sometimes not the most positive people in terms of new exciting opportunities. So let's say my mom, if I present her with a project that there's a lot of unknown variables, a lot of risk, her automatic is to not do it and to list all the things that could go wrong and stuff like that. And that has been my default reaction to a lot of things. And ever since I moved out, it's completely dissipated.
Wow.
But that comes with the trade-off of now that I do hang out with my parents and I notice that she does it, I'm like, ugh.
Yeah.
It's
kind of creates this wall a little bit between
Yeah.
you and like a family member or a friend eventually, because you're on like two completely different pages, right?
exactly, yeah.
And you don't want their opinion or that energy to kind of rub off on you too, right? Because like you said, whether we like it or not, or we're aware of it or not, other people's energy, other people's opinions or thoughts, mindsets really does influence us. And it's unconscious. We're not really aware of it.
Yeah.
Right? We have like these neurons in our brain called mirror neurons, and these neurons, basically what they help you do is help you understand other people's feelings, emotions, thoughts, actions.
Okay.
So when someone else acts in a certain way, these neurons are activated in your own brain. So everything is just super unconscious, and you don't realize how much someone else could affect you. So again, but it's tricky with parents, because like, do you completely cut off contact with them?
Yeah, I don't recommend it, but just the fact that I moved out helped a lot because just I don't get to spend as much time with them as much. But just I think being mindful and being aware of it helps a lot. Just try to not let it get to you. I guess. Yeah.
And I'd add to that sometimes taking a step back or taking a distance from people who are close to us that we love actually could benefit us, in the sense that if you keep spending time with your friends, parents who always have something negative to say, all of that, like, you're going to end up building a kind of resentment, or this kind of negative perception of them over time. So if you create that kind of distance, sometimes it could be helpful, because the interactions that you have, since you don't see each other a lot, could actually be positive. So that could actually be a beneficial aspect to it too. So I'd always be careful who you spend time with, the communities you're part of, because they do influence a lot how you think and the outcome, basically, who you become in the end.
And also, it's important to know, like, why you are hanging out with these people, or why you spend so much time with these people in the first place. Sometimes you don't have a choice. Maybe they're coworkers, or maybe I don't know, you're forced to be in the same room as them, and that's why it's important to be self-aware. It's important to know why you do the things that you do.
Yeah.
And is it a reflection of your surroundings, or it's actually you as a person?
Exactly. And once you kind of develop this self-awareness, you realize in the end that you have some degree of choice.
Yeah.
Even if you feel stuck in a certain situation that you can't, let's say, move out or whatever, you still have the freedom to choose maybe to spend less time with the person, or to kind of create your own environment within that place, that you can have maybe more alone time, right? That you're not completely with these people all the time.
Absolutely.
So definitely important to have this kind of self-awareness. So last question I have for you.
Okay.
What would you, let's say, advise people, or how would you tell people to, let's say, join communities? What should they look for? What type of community should they be part of?
I guess for me, let's say when I joined RTTM, I had a very specific goal in mind. And I knew, I was certain at 80% that this community would help me achieving this goal that I had. And so far it has. So I guess to just try to put it into words what you're trying to get out of this community, like why you want to join a community.
Yeah, the why. Ask yourself why.
Why, and I guess what your expectations are. And can they be met?
Yes.
And do you want to put in the time? Because it takes a lot of effort, especially if you're an introvert. It takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of time, a lot of commitment. It's not just I go once a month and suddenly I'm part of a community,
Yeah, no, it does take commitment, definitely.
And it takes time, because you can go there every day, but for a week, do that for months, do that for years, and then
the results will come after.
Exactly.
So yeah, definitely. So take your time, try it out at least to see, and then make sure that like your values are aligned, that the problems that you have, let's say maybe other people of the community have them too, and that you're really on the same wavelength,
right,
basically.
And also the rule that we learned in RTTM, the 3/3, like spend time with people that are like you, people that are maybe a level below you in regards to what you're trying to achieve, and people one step ahead of you.
Exactly. So 1/3 of your time, let's say in general, again, should be spent with people who are more advanced than you on the things that you want to advance or pursue. And then 1/3 should be people who are at the same level as you. And then 1/3 of the time should be with people who are, let's say, at a lower level than you in terms of that skill set or the things you're pursuing, so that you can learn how to teach too.
Yeah.
Right? And lead a group as
Absolutely.
well.
Yeah.
So that's super important. Very, very important.
And I think that's something that we don't consider much. Like, we have experience.
Yeah.
And a lot of people could actually benefit from what we have to say.
Yes.
And
yes. there's always something you can teach. A lot of people have like this imposter syndrome of like, no, like who am I to teach people this?
Exactly.
But you're always at a certain level, and there's always someone you can teach, right? And in a community, what's nice is that people are at different levels. So you get people who are like, okay, maybe a little bit more advanced than you, so you learn from them. Maybe people who are at the same level as you, and then people who you can teach and kind of transmit your knowledge to them too.
Yeah.
That's what's pretty cool about it.
And it's fun because even if someone could be a level ahead of you, maybe they're lacking a skill that you're particularly good at.
Exactly.
So, I mean,
Exactly.
it's beneficial for everybody.
Exactly.
Join a community.
Join a community, surround yourself with good people, with people who are like-minded, who are a bit more positive, who have the same goals, who have the same ambitions, who are aligned with you too. Super, super beneficial. Thank you so much, Andres. This has been a great conversation. Thank you for being here, for listening to this episode. Hope this has brought you some value. Don't hesitate to like the episode, to share it, to leave a review, share it with a friend, a family member, to bring some value to them as well. And on that note, I hope you have a nice day and see you on our next episode.